Okay, YouTube, Todd here again. Some guitar guy. First off, and as always, thanks for watching. So another video, and this one, this has been, I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to make this video. I've tried several times, about a half a day last week on my day off to make this, but this is a recent crash in my general area, I guess maybe my extended area that I first saw it. It had been, I think I saw it 3 days late. In a Facebook group I'm in, and started looking at the pictures and researching a little bit. And I can't possibly do every general aviation or otherwise crash, but this one interested me. A, because it's pretty close to home. B, because of where the plane ended up uh, and its orientation to the runway. And C, really why the pilot was flying in the first place. Um, and I'll get to all that, but let's kind of, I guess, in order. So the general location here is a sectional pulled up. So here, let me get oriented. Okay, so here's Charlotte, here's Atlanta, here is my home airport of Pickens County, and let us find the Lake Norman Airpark. So there's Charlotte with their Class B and different shelves, and here's Lake Norman, 14A, I believe is their designator. So just inside that outer ring, which is looking for it, I can't find it. I was thinking it was 2,500. Where did I see it? There's 4,000, 2,900 out here. Well, either I'm blind. I was thinking I saw 2,500. Yeah, there we go. And zoomed in quite enough. So that's the bottom of that outer tier. So if you're above 2,500, you are in Class B Bravo and would need affirmation to enter that airspace. So, and here's Lake Norman. You see it's north of Charlotte. It's probably a pretty cool field right there on the lake, but we can pull up the AFD and take a look at it. Looks like they have really good weather there now, and that's, I guess, the closest would be I think that's Statesville Regional, but then they get their TAF from Charlotte. So yeah, it looks really good. 360 variable 180 looks like it's shifting just a bit. A little hazy, I suppose, up there. It's actually really clear here today, but 10 miles visibility and calm wind at Statesville. The next thing I usually look at is the runways, and it does look really short, and it is, and narrow. Not quite 3,150 feet and only 40 feet wide. So not a lot of room for error, I would say, at this airport. And this is it. We can open that and maybe zoom in just a little bit. I can't use the mouse wheel. So he took off initially using runway 32. On his return, he was using runway 14. But with either way, he had a really strong and gusty crosswind from the southwest, and the orientation he ended up, I don't know that we can quite see on this little diagram, but he's off to the northeast of the field and facing the field. So I'm not real sure how he managed to do that. But we'll take a look at a couple of pictures here, um, and I'll put this main webpage a link here for the Aviation Safety Network. I think it's a great site. But I'll leave a link which will have links to all these pictures. So there he is. And yeah, heavy damage to the front of the plane. You can see the prop here. It's basically ripped the engine off the firewall. Some damage there to the left wing, leading edge, both wing tips. And the more I looked at it, that's, you see the damage to the tail and some back here around the door, but where did he hit? It's clearly out of the frame, but it's almost like, and the ground's not real torn up here, it's almost like the plane was just placed there, like just dropped right there. And the airport itself, if we were taking the picture, it would be to our back, so he is pointed toward the airport. And damage to the wingtip. Basically the same shot. This one shows, there we go. That's, a lot more deformation than maybe looked from the other angle. So that was I thought a good pick. And this is his flight. Sorry, these have to reload every time I click on them. But that's what he did. So this northerly leg is his departure. He goes up. That's probably a practice area, I guess. Crosses I-40, goes up, does some figure eights. Looks like some steep banks. Just practices some turns, and then heads back down along I-77. Well, on his northerly track, he flew basically right over the end of the runway for Statesville, so maybe that's one of his visual references. You see he's paralleling 77, crosses 40, and starts fading a little bit towards Statesville, probably to make sure and see it and get a visual fix. And then starts coming in for home, but then instead of coming in on 3-2, he turns basically at the lake directly toward the runway, and enters the left downwind for 1-4, turns base, turns final, and then zooming in a little bit. I mean, it looks maybe a little bit wide to me, but I mean, those are, and he is perfectly lined up with the runway. Yet he ends up, let me see if I can go to satellite view. I thought I could. Yeah. So there's his short final, and the plane ended up a couple of days ago. It actually had a representation. It must have been a little cloudy when they took these pictures. I have to get my orientation to remember. I think this inlet, and I'm thinking it was this house, somewhere in the yard of this house. I'm not 100% sure the actual address, but it was, you can zoom out a little bit, somewhere kind of the tip or so of this cove, and there is the runway and facing the runway. So yeah, I'm not real, don't know what happened. I'm sure Gus got him, and I don't know, just maybe overcorrected, but I still don't know how he ended up way over here. And I want to say this too. Let's see. Why did I have this one open? Let's go back to classic view. If I can. Yeah, there we go. And we'll zoom out a little bit. When he, so I'm impressed. He's really holding that center line with those wind conditions, but also impressed with the fact. To me, he's hand flying the plane. He's got some ground reference points, but when he gets up here to these exercises, watch his altitude. Now his airspeed drops, but he's trading airspeed for altitude, and he is pretty much spot on. Yeah, now let me. So by here, he is certainly in. Oh, well, he's at 2,400. Probably around in here. He is, and he's descending, so I'm sure he's aware of that Class B shelf. But he may well have contacted. This may have been an ATC instruction, or other pilots may have been using runway 14, and you certainly wouldn't want to go against the grain. But that was just a little odd to me that he would choose 14. I guess, you're going to have crosswind either way. He wanted to go to the north, so maybe that's why he used 32. And maybe, I don't know why he didn't land that way. But when I talk about the wind and why was he up to begin with, and if anyone knows, please, a historical aviation weather site, please let me know. This is best I can find. This is Weather Underground. So not a bad day on the surface. Clear day, a little chilly, kind of warming up during the afternoon. But look at the wind chart. Now, had he gone, an hour and certainly 2 hours earlier, I think he took off around 11:40. Now, here's the, wind from the southwest, 7, different 6, but so he would have had a crosswind, but definitely a manageable crosswind. But then at 10:52 is when, the wind really, I'm sorry, I think it was 11:52. Yeah, 11:52, the gusts start. So that's 17 gusting to 24. So right about the time he's taken off, and then it jumps to 12:52, and it's 14 gusting to 32. Now this is miles per hour, not knots. But still, that 14 to 32 is over double the wind strength, and 17 to 24, but still, and this is about a 90-degree crosswind. So in this whole time here, I feel sure, I would be shocked if there was not a turbulence air med out for that day, for that area, and maybe even a wind shear advisory. That's 14 to 31, 18 to 30, 14 to 32. I'm not sure what the parameters are to issue a advisory for wind shear, but whatever your definition is, it was a gusty, windy day with a strong crosswind. So I looked up his information on the Airman Registry. Fortunately, I don't know if I said this from the start, probably picked that up. This was not a fatality. He did survive this, was transported, and fortunately, no one on the ground was injured, and he had no passengers. But he was a pilot. So right here, private pilot. Now, you may see this issue day, and the FAA really needs to add one word here. It should read date of last issue. So he may be a new pilot. Um, or he could be like me, and actually I found mine. I thought I'd lost it. Um, but I think they would have, because my original certificate had my social, that was your certificate number was your social security number. And since they issued a new one, whether I found it or not, I think it still would have the last issue date. So I mean, he could very well have I don't know, 20,000 hours, and uh, he doesn't have an instrument rating, but same ratings I have. And not a whole lot of it makes sense when I look at uh, when I look at his flight path, because he was clearly, let's go back to this one, was clearly going up to work on some skill development, and that's prudent. And I tried to and need to do some more of that. But on a day with weather, with wind like this, so like the worst time to go, even leaving at 9 or 10, he would have missed most of that gusty wind. So we'll have to look for the NTSBs, at least there, or I will be, the preliminary report, maybe to fill in some of these info gaps. And yeah, that's about all I had. But I wanted to, and by the way, this area, that's another thing that piqued my interest. This general area, I don't think this actual field, um, and I could be wrong. It could have been a couple of mishaps out of the Lake Norman field, but this general area has had a couple of crashes, maybe 3 in the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 months. So probably a lot of pilots. So it may seem to be uh, disproportionate, but it may not. It may very well not be. And plus, you're talking about Charlotte's, fairly major city, so may not be disproportionate. But we'll see what the NTSB has to say. And again, and as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to do the YouTube thing. And until next time, thanks, guys.